I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised by how well SMU played with Boopie Miller not in the lineup against Duke, but ultimately the Mustangs just didn't make enough plays to beat a team of that caliber.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On SMU here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And thanks for tapping in with us and making us your first listen of the day on this bonus episode here on a Saturday after the Mustangs fall short at Cameron Indoor, losing to Duke. And coming up on the show today, we are going to recap the game, but I also want to talk about some of the lessons you might have learned from this game about SMU with Boopie Miller out of the lineup. So we're going to talk about that as well. Plus, SMU's got a new kicker and why I think that is a huge upgrade for the Mustangs heading into next season. You will not want to miss. But 82-75 was the final score as Duke knocks off SMU at home. The only game today, by the way, between two ranked combatants. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I know SMU lost the game, but I was kind of impressed by how they played. You know, keeping it close and how they did that. I think the way that they made things difficult for Duke on the defensive end, I thought was impressive. I thought they just willed their way to baskets. And to me, that told me, hey, SMU's a good basketball team. This SMU team was a really good basketball team. Obviously, I'm recording this directly after the game, so I have no idea what Jon Scheyer is going to say in the presser. We won't know that for a little bit. But ultimately, I was very impressed, and the ESPN guys were very impressed by SMU showing. But here's my big takeaway from this game. SMU just didn't make enough plays. Plain and simple. They did things that, if you are missing your best player on the road against a top 10 team, you just can't do. The rebounding was a concern. They gave up too many second chance points. They turned the ball over at really critical moments in time, didn't hit enough open jumpers, and then also just missed a lot of point-blank putbacks. I mean, how many point-blank putbacks did SMU miss in this game? I think Jaron missed one. BJ missed a couple. Igotolu missed a couple as well. Like, there were points that were easily there to be had that SMU did not convert. And when you're down your best player and you're on the road trying to pull off an upset of that caliber, all of those things have to go in. Doesn't mean you have to make every single shot. Doesn't mean you have to play perfect basketball. But when you get the perfect opportunities to do easy stuff, that's got to be converted. And the Mustangs just didn't do it. But ultimately, that doesn't underscore the fact that they had an excellent effort. They did a lot of really good things. I'll put it like that. Number one, did you realize they shot the ball for 57%? 57%. They were efficient. Now, Jerron Pierre probably is the outlier with his 5 of 13 night. And thankfully, he got more aggressive as the game went on because I was starting to worry, like, oh my God, are we going to see another Jaron Pierre game where he just doesn't look as assertive as he should be? But he did get aggressive. And 5 of 13, given the circumstances, I'm cool. But BJ Edwards, I thought, came to play. I was very impressed with BJ Edwards today. Jaden Tombs, if used properly throughout the course of the season, is going to be a good player. He showed up and stepped up. 10 of 13 from the floor for 23 points. First game in Cameron Indoor as a freshman. One of your best players down, having to go toe-to-toe with a guy like Cam Boozer. I thought he was really, really good. I thought Corey Washington played well. It was a good bounce-back game for him. Nothing spectacular, but a good bounce-back game. The guy I'm looking for in terms of where SMU I thought got let down in terms of there was a play to be had here, a play to be had there, is Cement Igotolu. Because there were too many times on the glass where he just got outworked. There were too many times on the glass where he got out-muscled. There were plays that he just couldn't convert. down in the paint, and there were defensive stops that he couldn't make. Like, Patrick Gungba was thoroughly better than Samet Igutolu in this game. And we talked about this on Friday, that was going to be a matchup to watch, whether Igutolu got matched up on Boozer, whether he got matched up on Brown or Gungba. And it was usually Gungba because Andy Enfield went with Tombs in the starting lineup, which was the correct move. And Gungba just, I would stop short of saying he abused Igutolu, but he gave Igutolu that work. Like, plain and simple. He gave him that work. But ultimately, SMU played well. They shot the ball well, hit 7 of their 14 threes, but 21 turnovers is way too many. And that's obviously where you miss Boopie Miller. You miss Boopie Miller with the 21 turnovers and the 9 free throws shot. Those are things that do not happen when you have your floor general. Because when you have your floor general, everything is a lot more settled than it was. And usually that cuts the turnovers just right there. But from the free throw perspective as well, keep this in mind, SMU just didn't look right offensively. And because of that, they rushed some shots, took some bad shots. Whereas if they had their point guard, I think everybody else would have been in a more natural position and could, as a result, draw fouls. SMU is a team that can get to the free throw line. Boopie is a big part of that himself, yes, but the other guys do a good job of getting to the line when they're in those positions and attacking off of those positions that they're used to and that more naturally suit their game. So, between the turnovers, between the plays that were left, I would probably say there were 12 points minimum just left on the court. Between missed bunnies right at the bucket, open shots that didn't go down, there were about at least 12 points there for SMU. I think it all comes back down to Boopie Miller not being there. Because of the turnovers, because of the missed opportunities, because of the lack of free throws. Now, that does not take away that SMU proved that it's a good basketball team. I think the Mustangs proved that they are a good basketball team and worthy of a top 25 ranking. Again, this was the only game on the slate today where both teams were ranked. And it was a 5-point game under 3 minutes to go. It was a good basketball game between two really good teams and one of them missing not just their best player, but their floor general. You're missing your best player. Sometimes you can win a game without your best player. When you're missing your floor general, things seem wonky. And that's what happened. Things seemed a little bit wonky. It led to the Mustangs leaving a little bit too much on the floor, committing way too many mistakes. And it ends up being what it is. Credit Duke. I thought Duke played them well. I thought Duke played to its own advantages. I think it played to SMU's over-aggressiveness defensively. A lot of times, how many wide open threes did Duke get because SMU over-rotated or was just doing too much defensively from the weak side? I know Caden Boozer got a 3 off of something like that. Isaiah Evans got a 3 off of something like that. Like, that happens. But the Mustangs, if you look at this game and say, oh, well, SMU's not very good or blah, 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 like, stop it. They're a good basketball team. They're a top 30 team in the country. They'll probably drop out of the rankings after this week because you can't go 0-2 and still be in the rankings when you were the 24 team. They'll drop out. But this is still a top 30 to 35 basketball team that will be an NCAA tournament team, might win a game in the tournament. They're just fine. They played without their best player, committed a little bit too much mistakes, and left some plays on the floor. Otherwise, hell of a basketball game. They played so much better than they played against Clemson. I mean, it was night and day compared to how they played against Clemson. And they're going to get back home, and they're going to do their thing going forward next week. I think this team is going to be just fine after a very good basketball game. Coming up next, one of the other points from this game, we learned something about SMU without Boopie Miller. I've got to take on the supporting cast on the other side, so keep it here on Locked On SMU. Hey, let's talk about something a lot of men just don't want to bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, and life it doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugy at Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rugy at Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body, so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment is right. Rugy at Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients into one mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs very fast. And you can connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. So it's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made this switch. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's Rugiet, RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege. Rugy at Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. Again, head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. All right, welcome back to the show. Grayson Singleton here on Locked On SMU, this bonus episode that we're going to release this Saturday afternoon. One of the things that I noticed about SMU, I think everybody on this SMU basketball team has solidified positions. They all have solidified positions. And what do I mean by that? It seemed as if, especially on the perimeter, B.J. Edwards, Corey Washington, Jaron Pierre Jr., they were all kind of playing out of position in the absence of Boopie Miller. And if you ever wanted to doubt the impact of a guy like Boopie, this was the game that you were ultimately proven wrong. Because a point guard is a point guard, meaning that there are certain people that their games flow when they're on the basketball. There are certain people that even though they are smart basketball players, even though they can dribble, even though they can pass, even though they can shoot, which are all things Boopie Miller does, obviously, there are certain people that their game is better off the ball. And what we saw in this game today against Duke is very simple to me. The Mustangs don't have another point guard. Like, they just don't. They no ifs, ands, or buts around it. And it was something I said early in the season, early in the non-con, but it showed up today. And that's part of the reason why I'm so impressed with how the Mustangs played, is because they don't have a point guard outside of Boopie Miller. And the fact that they're able to hang with a team like Duke and be able to put up the amount of points they did and shoot the ball with the level of efficiency they did is quite impressive when you see that they have no point guard on the floor. B.J. Edwards did a lot of running the offense. Jaron Pierre did a lot of running the offense. Did it ever seem like those guys were really comfortable doing that for extended periods of time? The answer is no. They didn't. They didn't feel comfortable. And something about their game just looked a little bit off. And I'll bet you that might have something to do with why Jaron Pierre shot 5 of 13, which again, under the circumstances, look, I'm cool with. I don't think Jaron Pierre had a bad game. But what I am saying is that BJ is not a point guard. Jaron is not a point guard. They're not point guards. They are wing players who feed off of a point guard. There are people's games who it just works better like that. It's more naturally a fit, and that's okay. That's okay. B.J. Edwards and Jaron Pierre Jr. are excellent players off the wing. Catch and shoot, driving to the basket. They could do a little something in terms of a handle and whatnot. But SMU's entire ecosystem is thrown off when Boopie Miller is off the floor. And now, obviously, if you're in a game that Boopie is playing, sure, you want to get him off the floor for 7 minutes in totality of a game. Get him off the floor for 2-3 minutes here, and SMU could be just fine. I do think BJ and Jaron prove that they can handle the offense in spurts while Boopie is off the floor. But in terms of an entire game without him, the reality of the situation is that the Mustangs just don't have a point guard, because the offense, even though they shot the ball so well, just looked clunky. There was something about it that looked clunky. Now, do I think this was a better game for Boopie to miss than the Clemson game? Yes, I do. Because in this game, and I told you guys it was going to be this way on Friday, those two teams like to get up and down the floor. So when you can get up and down, when you're getting up and down the floor and not having to play against an already set defense, time in and time out, like you were against Clemson on Wednesday night, you can be more effective minus your point guard as long as you have people who can make sound decisions with the basketball. Given that you have guys that can make sound decisions with the basketball and not just throw it all over the place, you can survive a game like that and be in a game like that without your point guard. If Boopie had missed that game against Clemson, I think that game ends up a lot differently and not in SMU's favor because you're playing against a set defense time in and time out without your point guard. Ugh, yikes. But if you're in the open floor with athletes, as long as they're smart, which SMU still has very smart, intelligent basketball players, you will be fine. But BJ Edwards is a 2. Jerron Pierre is a 2. Corey Washington, obviously, we know he's more of a 3-4 hybrid guy. They do not have another point guard not named Boopie Miller. And they will be able to win some games depending on who the matchup is. They'll be able to win some games if Boopie does miss another game. But it shows up in the half court. It will, because there will be times where somebody might be handling the ball, but it will not look right. That's the importance of Boopie Miller. His importance and his availability is so vital to SMU ceiling. Not because he is one of the top scorers in the country, not because he's the reigning ACC Player of the Week, even though all that stuff is all good and fine. But the fact that he actually captains the ship in a way that only he on the roster can do so. Now, obviously, we don't want to look too far forward just yet because, hell, we're not even in, the middle of January. But next year, that will be something that you want to keep an eye on. Does another point guard emerge for SMU, a guy that is an actual point guard? Like you looked at Duke today. They have 2 of those guys. They have 2. Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer. Or Caleb Foster, excuse me. Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer. Both are point guards. And they operate like point guards. And the offense can flow through their leadership. And you saw that. SMU had to work for a lot. And they had to work for a lot more than they would have had to if Boopie was playing. Now, in all of this, am I saying that SMU definitively wins the game if Boopie Miller was in there? No. Would they have a better shot of doing it? Yep. Like, you could reasonably say that could be a 3-point game with Boopie Miller. But ultimately, that's the one thing you're going to learn from SMU today. Good basketball team, great athletes, a big man that's solid but sometimes is going to be outplayed by even better and more polished big men. But they have to have their point guard just because they don't have another one. They just don't. BJ can do some good things. Jerron can do some good things. They are not point guards. They can handle the ball. They can shoot the ball. They can score the basketball. They can pass. They can pass the basketball. They can do all that. They are not point guards. And you can tell when a point guard is on the floor just by watching the flow of the offense. And look, you can muscle your way into a lot of buckets. You can get some open shots. But you can tell when a team does not have a point guard on the floor. And I think that was this SMU team. They just did not have a point guard on the floor. And when Boopie gets reinserted and once he gets over this flu, SMU is going to be back to being a really good team. And if you watch that game and you listen to Dave Fleming and Jay Williams call that game, I'm not the only one who thinks that. I think this SMU team is a really, really good basketball team that has caught the attention of a lot of people. All right, coming up next, one more segment before we get out of here. SMU's got a new kicker. Why that is maybe their most consequential edition of the portal cycle. Talk about that to close up the show here on Locked On SMU. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. So if you want to ride with the favorite when you think a team is controlling the matchup, put that profit boost in there and you can get even more money for being right. Or you can even extend the payout if you bet right on the underdog as well. Or you think you have a really good sense of what a few players are going to do in the game, whether they're going to go higher or lower than the projected line. You can combine those into a parlay, and that's right. Slap that profit boost right on there and for even more potential earnings. When you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings, and when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the place to get in on the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every single day. All right, welcome back as we close up the show. Appreciate you guys making us your first listen of the day. Hey, and make sure you check out our brand new Everydayer Club. It's access to an ad-free version of this show, Locked On SMU, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. So you can be listening to this in your car, in your headphones, if you're working out, whatever, with no ad interruptions. And plus, if you want to hang out and tap in with other Locked On podcast member listeners, you get access to an invite-only Discord server as well. So that's a group chat for other everydayers. Plus, some of the hosts are on that as well. So you'll want to tap in over there as well. So here's how you do it. Go to lockedonsmu.supercast.com. That's lockedonsmu.supercast.com. And that's how you can sign up for the Everydayer Club. Okay. SMU football got a kicker. And this is an outstanding addition. So Nick Reed, New Hampshire kicker, he was an FCS All-American, committed to SMU earlier today on Saturday morning. He was number one in the nation in field goals per game and 14th in both total points scored and in scoring. That's per game, which is 8.1 points per game. 25 of 32 on field goals, including 6 of 8 from 50 plus and 3 of 4 from the 40 to 49 range. And this is massive. This is massive for SMU. I mean, think about how many games the Mustangs played in that were within 5 points this year. There's a lot of them. A lot of one-possession games. Field goals, special teams, and the kicking game can swing games like that. I mean, just look at the best teams in the country. Special teams has come into play plenty of times. Georgia Ole Miss game. Kickers missing field goals, doinking them off the uprights, whatever. Oklahoma won some games this year courtesy of their kickers. Like, kickers matter. And this year, SMU's kicking game just wasn't great. Colin Rogers was not good. Sam Keltner was fine, but not really good necessarily. And he's already transferred to Oklahoma State. So you get in a guy like this, who is as reliable as they come in Nick Reed, an All-American at the FCS level. I think he's going to be a very good player. Like, think about this. Think about it from this perspective. SMU ended the season at 9-4. The Mustangs are a field goal away from beating Baylor and having its second consecutive double-digit win seasons in its 2 years. In its 2 years as a member of a Power 4 conference. They're a kick away from 2 years in the ACC and 2 double-digit win seasons. Like, that's how much kickers matter. That's how much they're going to matter. We can talk about all the other additions, and they're fantastic. Yannick Smith, a wide receiver, great. Jarvis Lee, defensive back from USF, I think he's going to be great. Ira Singleton, the defensive end, is going to fill a need. The 2 defensive tackles that we've talked about this week, going to fill needs. They might go to the portal and get another running back. There might be a safety coming down the pike for SMU. Tight end, Theo Mellon Ostrom from Texas A&M. Those are going to be welcome additions. They absolutely will. But in terms of an area where SMU needs to be more reliable, they have got to be more reliable in the kicking game this year. And I think they got that. Now, obviously, time will tell whether Nick Reed is going to live up to that and back up his All-American FCS season in the ACC. That remains to be seen. We are still talking about a kicker here, not a wide receiver. But if you can really upgrade that position, you do it. Because that lost you the Baylor game. You have the ability to really swing that Baylor game in the special teams department. And Colin Rogers, by the way, that was the game where after I believe, Colin Rogers left the team. So you could see the gravity of a game like that. And then obviously Sam Keltner took over and won an open competition. So all in all, a guy like Nick Reed being in here, if he indeed is as good as he was at New Hampshire and backs it up at SMU, usually a kicker like that can be good to steal you a win. We don't know what game it'll be, but there could be a game there where a guy like him steals you a win. And that's big time. That's big time if you have a kicker like that. Maybe he steals you a couple wins. But when you have that third element of the football game that you know, oh yeah, we can go to him and we're going to be just fine. We can go to him from 50 plus, and that takes pressure off of our offense to have to get 3 and 4 first downs to get us into scoring range. Maybe we only need 2 to get into scoring range, and then we can at least bank on getting 3. The calculus of the way you call an offense changes. The calculus of the way that you call a football game and make certain decisions changes. It is a big time ad. I think this can be, and again, time will tell as we go into the year and see how some of these games flow. But when you're adding a team like Notre Dame to the schedule, when you're adding a 9th ACC game, you have got to be buttoned up in the kicking game because sometimes that can steal you games, and I think it will. I 100% think it will, and I love the addition of Nick Reed. It was a needed addition. All right, that'll do it for Locked On SMU here on this Saturday. Appreciate you guys making us your first listen of the game, or of the day. Duke defeats SMU 82-75, so we appreciate you tapping in after that game as well. And obviously, we'll see you on Monday, but we appreciate you tuning in. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On SMU ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonsmu.supercast.com to join the club, or take a look in the show notes for the link as well. For those of you on YouTube, you're going to the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network. On audio, make sure you make your second listen of the day Locked On College Football. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Take it easy, everybody.